What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another match preview. Arsenal versus Fulham this weekend down here at the Emirates Stadium. Another home game and another game that, listen, Arsenal fans will be expecting us to win. Fulham, the opposition, they have not made the best start to the season so far. They did beat Everton 1-0 opening day of the season, but they were beaten 3-0 last weekend by Brentford at home. Their fans were not happy. They've sold their star striker Mitrovic, who, he scored against us last season here in a 2-1 victory. He's gone to Saudi Arabia for big money. They've replaced him with Raul Jimenez, who I think Jimenez is not the same level as Mitrovic. Obviously, two former Arsenal players, Bernd Leno and Willian. We don't like to talk about Willian too much, but yeah, listen, they'll be fired up. Anytime you're playing against one of your former clubs, you're always eager to prove a point, to show the club that they made a mistake in letting you go. And I'm sure Leno will, he'll get a good reception from the fans. He'll be eager to prove himself in goal. And obviously Willian, who, to be fair to Willian, has looked a totally different player at Fulham to the one we saw at Arsenal. He was pretty horrific at Arsenal. He's actually been pretty good at Fulham. João Paulinho, who is probably their star player now, he was on the bench last weekend. I expect him to come back into the side for this game against Arsenal. Fulham, I think, will have a more difficult season this year. I don't think they've spent particularly much money in the window, and I think Mitrovic is a massive loss for them. But let's look at Arsenal. Arsenal have won 2 games out of 2. We beat Forest here opening day 2-1. We got a very good result against Palace midweek on Monday, a 1-0 win. Great to keep a clean sheet. Tomiyasu will be suspended. We weren't able to appeal that red card as it was 2 yellows, so he'll miss the game. Obviously, Kieran Tierney has now left as well, so will Zinchenko start at left back? I would imagine he will. He's been in training for over 2 weeks now. He came on against Palace. I think Zinchenko will play. I think you see Ramsdale in goal. Are Arsenal going to revert to a regular back four against Fulham? It's divided opinion in the first 2 games. I think Arteta has done it as a way to control the game more. He thinks that we can afford to have an extra midfielder and just play with a back 3. But I don't think you get the best out of Thomas Partey. I think that, forcing him to play inverted right back is a challenge for him, and against better opposition, maybe that will expose us. But of course, he wants to play Havertz, he wants to play Odegaard, 2 attacking midfielders. What team would I pick for this game? I would play Ramsdale in goal. I would play a back 4 of Zinchenko and White at full back. I would bring Gabriel back in next to Saliba. I would play Rice and Partey in the pivot, Odegaard in the 10. I would play a front 3 of Saka, Trossard and Martinelli. I would give Trossard a game through the middle. Equally, I would actually consider, even if you are going to play Havertz, playing Havertz up front, because I do think his best game so far for Arsenal has been up front against Manchester City in the Community Shield. Now, he didn't take his chances, but I always say as a striker, worry more when you're not getting chances than when you're missing them. His movement is good. But I don't expect that to be the team. I think it will be very similar to the one against Palace, except maybe Zinchenko comes in for Tomiyasu. I think he'll use it as another opportunity to play Havertz. I think he's trying to play Havertz into form. Obviously, next week we play against Manchester United. That's when I think he's going to have to definitely go for that Rice and Partey double pivot. But Gabriel will be frustrated, and the transfer window closes next Friday. What you don't want to do is put people's nose out of joint. I don't want Gabriel leaving the football club, and 3 games in a row him being on the bench would definitely frustrate him. So it will be interesting. I do think Arsenal will win this game. I think we'll have too much for Fulham. I'm actually going to go for a 3-0 win against Fulham. I'm going to go quite optimistic. They lost 3-0 last week, and I think Fulham will have quite a difficult season. They'll try and make life difficult for us. I think if we can get an early goal, we'll break them down. Maybe 2-0, maybe 2-0. But I think if we can score early, maybe 3-0. Let me know in the comments, what team would you pick? What formation would you pick? Would you stick with the current system, with the 3 at the back, with Partey inverting as a left back when we're out of possession? I just think now I'm already thinking about Manchester United next week. That's not that I'm skipping Fulham, but what I'm saying is I think we should play a system that we can implement next week against Man United. And I don't think you can play Partey inverted right back against United. So I would get us ready for it this week against Fulham. Go back to the 4 at the back. I think we'll beat Fulham. I think we'll have too much for them. Confidence should be high. And also, obviously, the transfer window closes next week. Give me your score predictions. Give me your team predictions. I'm going 2-0, possibly 3-0 to Arsenal. Big up everyone. Bless.